Okay, you saw how I removed the bearing off of this auger shaft. Now we're going to go ahead and put the new bearing on that I got. Here's a bearing I got from the store. It's made in Japan. It's a higher quality bearing probably than the Chinese one, I'm guessing, that's originally on there. Here is the part number of the bearing. You can see that, BLF L5-16. Comes with its own new grease zerk fitting. And since we have rebuilt our system up through here, and if you remember, we used a chisel to knock this out from the other end. So this shaft is just a little bit tweaked on the end. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a file, and I'm going to quickly just hit that with the file a few times, just to shave down any burrs that might be on the outside of that shaft. Otherwise, that could hang up and cause a little problem with that bearing going on. If yours came off really easy, the bearing, then you probably won't have to do that. Now I'm going to clean this up a little bit with a rag. Before I started the camera, I sort of scraped off any surface rust that I found that was on there. We just want to clean that off, and I cleaned off all the dirt and grime that was on there. Then I'm ready to put my bearing back on. So there's nothing special you have to do about this. Just get it to where, remember the grease fitting on the bottom of the unit, this will be on the bottom of the spreader. So make sure you get that grease fitting down at the bottom, that way you can reach it when you fit this on there. Sliding on there really easy. The set screws, that's the only thing you're really going to have to watch for. So it fits in there really nice. Super easy. Last thing we have to do is take these stainless lock nuts and put these on here. 2 of those. One note for the grease zerk, you want to make sure that you check it, because when they come from the factory, sometimes they don't even come inside the bearing. In this case it did, but you want to make sure it's snug, at least tighten it up. Most of the time, they're not even in the bearing housing. So I'm going to put these on as far as I can with my fingers. Tighten them up. As you get down there, there's not enough room, I think, for your ratchet to get these things all the way on there. It doesn't seem like it. So I might have to switch to a wrench to finish it off. I can do that. Just tweak those down. Oops. Watch, don't round that off. Yeah, that's pretty snug. Last thing I'm going to do is take this Allen. It's an Allen head. I just put on a screwdriver a little bit, and then I'm going to just snug this down. And on this, the shaft doesn't get driven through this bearing, so it doesn't really matter even if this slips a little bit. So it doesn't have to be overly tight. Turn around. There's 2 of these on here. Now it's probably a good idea actually on these, in case we need to get these off again. I think I'm going to put a little dab of this anti-seize lubricant in that hole. And then if we ever have to take this bearing off again, it should come off a bit more easily. Sometimes those things are not stainless. They're usually very cheap metal and they corrode easily. So the Allen screws definitely are a good thing to treat with the anti-seize lubricant. Save yourself some headache in the long run. Get these down in there. While you're at it, what I find a lot of times is on the bolt heads of those Allen screws, they get rusted. Also, they fill up with debris. So sometimes I'll just take some grease, white lithium in this case, or any type of grease really would work. And I just try to fill those a little bit with some grease. That way, if I ever have to take that stuff out, they're not too rusted. And the grease is easy to get out of there. You can just stick anything in there to get it out. So we're about done with that. Really about the only thing left to do here is to grease it up. So I'm going to take my grease gun, put it on the bottom of this grease fitting. There it comes, right there. It starts coming out. I'm just going to turn this to lube it. It's always a good idea to do this several times, especially if it's the first time you're greasing a bearing. Make sure you grease it, and then after you've used it first time for an hour or two, grease it again to make sure. And I'm just going to slowly pump it and turn it at the same time until I have a lot of grease coming out of this thing. And that ought to do it.